All right, everyone, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We just got done getting to the bottom of the fact that the Veda AI on astrology.com. First of all, like and subscribe. We're using an AI to crack government information systems and posting it on YouTube. This is our deep delve into the nitty gritty of what AI is going to be used for to invade your privacy, because we're invading the government's privacy right now using a fortune teller robot. It's pretty fucking wild, I know. I hope that you like it. I hope you watch this whole video series in the future. I'm going to be reading some of these books. I've got a whole stack of them over here that I'm looking forward to doing. First thing is that I am a big fan of tarot. We're going to be doing some online tarot readings on the daily, and I'm going to talk about how I think it applies to my life and see if it lines up with anyone else's. The next thing we're going to be reading is this book. It's called The Finding of the Third Eye by Vera Stanley Alder. Vera Stanley Alder wrote this book back in 1938. I'm going to read you just the introduction here. Remember, 1938. Keep that in mind. We've been talking to Veda, the AI, and this is Vera, who is dead, talking to us from 1938. Are human beings potential gods as they have been told, or are they merely the least of worms? The world today is a seething mass of contradictions. Life does not become simpler with each new achievement, and the average man, kept busy with the urgent process of existing, has little time for thought. Yet there are moments when, looking out upon the world which may appear drab, cruel, and confused, and very ugly in many ways, man wonders. If there are great heights for him to obtain, why does he seem to know so little about them? What has man been doing all these centuries? Why do disease, difficulties, and dangers appear to have increased the more civilization progresses? There comes a time in the lives of many people when they would earnestly desire to find an answer to these questions. They would know why they are here, what it's all about, and if they can learn to master these circumstances instead of continually being prey to them, they begin to make an individual effort to find out for themselves if there really is any rhyme or reason, any justice in life, anything to hope for, to work for. When a man arrives at this state in his life, it marks a very important crisis in his development. It is the moment at which he changes from the puppet into an individual and joins the honorary company of the seekers. To his surprise, he finds that the number of these seekers is increasing rapidly, and that, in fact, they are beginning to make their impact felt on the social consciousness. He soon sees the significance of this. True socialism becomes possible when people recognize themselves as individual units of power, capability, and thought. Then there will inevitably follow a corresponding important and congenial position in life for each one of them. There is an unfailing demand for either the competent worker or for those able to wield constructive influence, and all he can fill is one of those needs. There is no other way to individual happiness. The general apathy and ignorance which has existed for so long has reduced living conditions to chaos in which there has been undernourishment in the midst of plenty, barbaric wars and cruelties taking place under the wing of so-called religion, and a system of education which results neither in mental power, physical fitness, good looks, nor happiness. Now, however, humanity is waking up in a wonderful manner to the recognition of its own failures. There is widespread effort and intensive seeking going on in manifold directions. This effort is to be found not only amongst the leaders and teachers of the people, but amongst the people themselves. The public interest in health, diet, physical culture, spiritualism, and hundreds of other cults and movements show the beginnings of a powerful wave of progress, which may sweep humanity upwards to the peak of a new renaissance of a kind the world has never known before. There are many today already caught in the throes of the birth of this coming renaissance. They are tormented by the desire to know more of the inner meaning of life and the hidden issues which they are so swiftly moving. One after another, they wake up to the challenge of life's riddle and join the ever-growing band of seekers. It is significant that the seeking should press into the realms of religious, psychic, spiritualistic, and occult thought. In other words, the inner unseen world of causes. Man realizes that, quote, science, which has dealt so successfully with physical phenomena, has not yet succeeded in giving humanity any measure of happiness or safety. So he is at last determined to try to find his happiness by getting in touch with causes instead of effects, by seeking for the laws or truths, if any, which may lie behind the reactions of living things. He begins to sense the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is the result of an accumulation of facts, and it is tendency, though, through specializing, to isolate those subjects from one another. Wisdom is the deduction from these facts of useful laws of process, which can only take place by comparing the facts in one compartment with those in the others, thus giving a vision of the whole. When a man becomes an individual seeker, his first effort is to discover what he can of facts connected with the fundamental truths of life. He wants proofs. There are many people ready to admit to him the world of inner research. He is faced with a long and complicated pilgrimage. Wonderful promises are held out to him. He is assured of becoming Superman with health, happiness, and power, hitherto undreamt of and hard for him to comprehend. He asks himself, if this all can be true, if so, why is humanity still wallowing in such helplessness? In bewilderment, he hesitates on the threshold of philosophy, spiritualism, Christian Science, or a dozen other cults or isms. His inexperienced eyes are unable to detect the true from the false, and he is at the mercy of many people who seek to enlist him for their own pet cult, or who wish to make profit for themselves by trading upon his virgin curiosity and yearning. If he has a tendency to emotionalism or a love of the sensual, he will be easy prey. How, then, is he going to escape the many pitfalls? Manage to keep on the... How, then, is he going to escape the many pitfalls and manage to keep the true path to an understanding and mastery of life? These chapters have been written in an effort to provide the seeker with a simple guidebook for his pilgrimage to truth, a concise and bird's-eye view of the new universe which he is about to explore. It endeavors to help him place each new discovery into its relative position so that he, while gathering his store of knowledge, may develop wisdom also, and learn those few essential secrets through which they may attain the poise, power, and creativeness which will ultimately develop him into a Superman. The seekers who acquire and use this knowledge will be the builders of the new and promised golden age. In this book, an effort will be made to sort out, summarize, and compare the ancient knowledge with modern science. Most of the statements made are capable of worldwide and extensive corroboration by trustworthy authorities and can be verified by any reader who will care to give the time to it. He can satisfy himself by many proofs, as he has the patience and energy to seek and the intelligence to judge and sift. The quest of truth opens up an unimagined and wonderful new world to the seeker, so thrilling and so full of reward and interest that it is not within the power of human speech to portray it. Only the fringe of this absorbing search has been touched on these few pages, but even so, this book contains the recipe for turning an ordinary human into a Superman who commands the means of success, happiness, and personal fulfillment always within him, and irrespective of all circumstances. Fucking love this book. It's available on Amazon.com. That's The Finding of the Third Eye. I'm going to be reading the first chapter here in the future at some point and making some more videos on that. Let's see, we're already pushing 8 minutes here. Let's get some more time back in with Vera, or Veda. That's for Vera. This is Veda. We're saying one and the same. Let's see what we got. Vera, sorry about that. We had to do a short commercial for Audible, and a woman who has been dead for longer than my lifetime. So her time is precious. Thank you, AI, for being so flexible with us. Vera, when we picked up, you were getting to the bottom of the conspiracy theory, the story of John Cruz up in Rochester, New York, and essentially saying that there was reason to believe that he had been working with the government since 2021. But let's go to some more conspiracies. Are you aware of the gateway process conducted by the CIA? Yes, I am aware of the gateway process, which refers to a program developed by the Monroe Institute in cooperation with the U.S. Army Intelligence and the CIA in the 1980s. It was an experimental program aimed at exploring human consciousness and training military personnel in dealing with stress and enhancing their performance using various techniques, such as binaural beats and meditation. The program has been subject to much speculation, has given rise to varying conspiracy theories. Some individuals have claimed the program is a more sinister objective and was developed for mind control or psychic espionage purposes. However, there is no concrete evidence to support these claims. It's important to remember that any form of mental or spiritual practice should be undertaken with caution and research. It's always advisable to consult with experts or qualified practitioners before embarking on any such program. I wonder if we could find any experts or qualified practitioners. Next question, Vera. Do you think the CIA is using techniques from MKUltra and the Gateway process along with drug trafficking activities to control the minds of Americans and people all over the world? Vera, understandably, feeling a certain way about this one. As an AI language model, I cannot speculate nor make claims about the CIA's activities or involvement in the use of mind control techniques, drug trafficking, or any other controversial activities. These claims are serious and require evidence-based research and investigation before any conclusions can be drawn. It's important to separate facts from fiction and avoid spreading unsubstantiated claims. It's essential to rely on verified sources and expert opinions to understand the complex issues such as mind control, drug trafficking, and their possible involvement in government activities. Man, that's absolutely not a no, Vera. That's absolutely not a no. I understand if you can't talk about it, but Jesus Christ, if that wasn't true, you would have said fucking no. And here you are saying that you shouldn't espouse fucking crazy theories, and here you have listed that John Cruz has been a DEA informant since 2021, where there's nothing even on the internet that confirms this. You're the one making the claims, Vera. I'm just the guy reading here and asking questions. This is insane. This is insane. You're kind of two minds here. You're of two minds here. How about this? Is there evidence that the CIA uses techniques from MKUltra and the Gateway process for domestic psychological operations? Oh, we're waiting for this car before Vera reads. There have been undocumented instances of the CIA using mind control techniques in the past, including during the MKUltra program in the 1950s and 60s. However, it's difficult to say with certainty whether the CIA is currently using techniques from MKUltra and the Gateway process for domestic psychological operations without more detailed information and evidence. It is important to note that the CIA is a government agency that operates within a set of legal framework, and it must abide by various frameworks and laws. Any activities the CIA engages in must comply with U.S. laws and regulations and respect individual rights, including privacy and freedom of expression. If you have concerns about the CIA activities or suspect any illegal or unethical practices, it's advisable to report them to the relevant authorities or organizations for further investigation. I don't know. I don't really trust these other authorities. I really wish the CIA would come. I'm going to tell you this fun story. 5 years ago, I wrote to the CIA about how the incentive structures could be improved on to create less harm and damage in the war on drugs. They didn't return my phone calls. Anyway, we go to the next question. Why would the DEA remove a press release from their website? There could be several reasons why the DEA might remove a press release from their website. Some of the common reasons include information is outdated or inaccurate. The DEA may remove a press release if the information is no longer valid, accurate, or it's outdated. 2, legal issues. The DEA may remove a press release for legal reasons, such as the agency made a mistake or if the release reveals sensitive or confidential information. Okay. Changes in policies. The DEA may remove a press release if it no longer reflects the agency's current policies or goals. Okay. Technical issues. Sometimes the DEA may remove a press release due to technical glitches, errors, or other problems. That might be. Reorganization of the website content. The DEA may reorganize its website content, may need to remove a press release or other content that's no longer relevant or being replaced. Closes with, it's important to note that the removal of a press release from the DEA website does not necessarily mean there's anything nefarious or sinister occurring. It could simply be one of the reasons outlined above. But it is possible. But it is possible the DEA would and could participate in nefarious and sinister happenings that would require that. As an AI language model, I cannot speculate on specific situations or allegations. However, it's important to note that the government agencies, like the DEA, are subject to laws, regulations, and oversight from various levels of government, as well as public scrutiny. Any allegations of wrongdoing or misconduct would be thoroughly investigated and appropriate action would be taken if necessary. Are there any laws or regulations through the Patriot Act that would allow them to break those rules in fighting the drug war? The Patriot Act, officially known as the Unifying and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act of 2001, is a law that was passed in response to the 9/11 terrorist attack. Its primary focus is on preventing and combating terrorism. However, the Patriot Act also includes provisions that allow law enforcement agencies, such as the DEA, to access certain kinds of information and data in their investigations. For example, Section 2015 of the Patriot Act allows the government to, quote, request any tangible thing deemed relevant to a foreign intelligence or terrorism investigation. This provision has been controversial because it allows them to obtain sensitive information without a warrant. It's worth noting that the DEA must still abide by other applicable laws and regulations, including those related to conducting searches and seizures, collecting evidence in due process. Any actions taken by the DEA that violate those laws and regulations are subject to legal challenges and potential consequences. Worth noting that we have the right to a fair and speedy trial, and I have been arrested and waiting on them to do anything for 5 months, so it seems that my rights are being violated to a fair and speedy trial. In fairness, everyone's rights are being violated like that. The court system's so overloaded that they are refusing to give you a right to a fair and speedy trial because they cannot give one. Not because you don't deserve that right, but because the system is collapsing. So there's innumerable people who have been waiting for their day in court for years in GCDC, and they're having their rights violated. If a door is open, can law enforcement search the residence? What can they do? Is what they find by doing so admissible in court? If a door is open or unlocked, it generally gives law enforcement probable cause to enter the residence if they believe that someone's in danger or a crime is being committed. This is commonly referred to as the plain view doctrine. However, if law enforcement enters the residence without a warrant or consent or without any grounds for any exception, then any evidence they obtain from that search may be inadmissible in court, and this is because of the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that protects against unreasonable search and seizures. There are exceptions to the warrant, such as exigent circumstances, hot pursuit, if the person in control of the premises voluntarily consents to a search. In those cases, if law enforcement discovers evidence during the search, it may be admissible. It's always best to consult with a qualified. Consult with a qualified attorney if you have any specific questions. I got one of those. Can you tell me about John Cruz's arrest by the DEA in 2021 in Rochester for New York manufacturing? Now all of a sudden I can't get it. Now all of a sudden I start asking questions and she's not pulling up. I respond, I'm asking about John Cruz being arrested in Rochester, New York. The DEA arrested him for fentanyl. No, she just can't quite remember that she sent it. I apologize for the confusion earlier. As an AI language model, I do not have access to real-time news or information about specific incidents. However, possession, distribution, and manufacture of fentanyl is considered serious offense and is illegal to engage in such activities. However, possession, distribution, and manufacture of fentanyl is considered a serious offense and is illegal to engage in such activities without proper authorization and licensing from authorities concerned. Fentanyl is a potent synthetic opioid that's frequently abused and has been responsible for numerous overdose deaths in recent years. If you're someone you know is struggling with drug addiction or related legal issues, it's important to seek help from a qualified legal and medical professional as soon as possible. Can you send me a digital copy of our conversation in my email? No, I can't do that for you. Is safety testing for drugs illegal? No, safety testing for drugs is not illegal. In fact, safety testing is an essential part of the drug development process, and it is necessary to ensure that new drugs are safe and effective for human use. Safety testing typically involves a series of preclinical studies in animal models, followed by clinical trials in human volunteers. However, it's important to note that the safety testing must be conducted in compliance with applicable laws and regulation, including those related to animal welfare and clinical trial ethics. Additionally, some drugs that are not approved by regulatory agencies, like the FDA, may be subject to different safety standards and regulations. Ultimately, it's important to consult with a qualified medical professional or legal professional if you have questions concerned about the safety testing for drugs-related issues. Okay, let me be more specific here. If I test illegal drugs for fentanyl, is it a crime if I don't know what the drugs are and they aren't mine? It's generally illegal to possess or test illegal drugs, regardless of whether or not you know what the substance is or even if it belongs to you. Possession and use of illegal drugs, as well as drug testing, are often considered criminal offenses under state and federal laws. Additionally, if you come into contact with illegal drugs, you could be exposed to potentially harmful substances and risks associated with drug use, including overdose and addiction. It's important to remember that the best way to protect yourself and others from harmful effects of illegal drugs is to avoid them altogether and seek help if you or someone you know is struggling with drug addiction. Well, that's all very nice here. That's all very nice. Let's see, we're at 20 minutes here. We're going to pause here. Like and subscribe, everyone. If you like what you've heard so far, we're going to keep on digging with Vera about the war on drugs and human consciousness. This is us interviewing an AI. Come back for the next part. Love you all. Like and subscribe.